Hello. It's been a while. Been a while since I did one of these. I'm back at another new location. I was at a new location last time I streamed, and I'm at another new location now. I should be here for a bit longer than I was at the last one. Moved again. That happened. Probably isn't anyone listening, but for the playback. For the playback audience. Okay. Let's see. Does the stream have sound? That's a thing that I should check. Is if the stream has sound. Because we have visual. Yep. We got sound. That is good. So, I have no clue what I'm going to be doing. I was just bored, and I've been talking about starting up streams again. So here we are. And that's about it. Let's see. I want to have the chat available to me when people show up and start putting things in the chat. I want that. That is a thing that I do want. All right, there we go. We have the chat box. Do a bit of formatting. Just to get things going here while no one's around, while things are allowed to be boring. If you're on the playback, you can just skip to where things get interesting. I don't mind. Okay. So, what we're probably going to do here is, let's see, how do I work StreamYard again? I need to remember how to work StreamYard because it has been a while. There, share screen. Before I do that, I will separate some of these tabs. So that way we don't have that lovely little situation where we start having a telescope effect on the stream to avoid streamception. There we go. Now I can share my screen. Or not. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Very lovely. Okay, we'll just combine all the tabs together then, and we just won't visit the StreamYard one very often while I am screen sharing. That is simply what we will do. Just an entire screen. Here we go. Yes, the lovely, of course, Google Sheets, as always. Good old Thomas Wiki. We love to see it. So now that I've done this, let's not share the chat box with you. How about that? That's much better. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, now we can do that whole dealio. So, I am very yellow right now. That is the lights. I need to replace the light bulbs with ones that are more white. So, if I do continue a trend of streaming, we'll hopefully have white light soon and not me basking in yellow light. Which I'm sure would be preferred. Now, there's the question of what do we do today? Let's see. See, right now there is no one, so my default of talk to the chat is not possible, which is lovely, very lovely. So I need to find something that's actually engaging, maybe, so that people might join. Sorry, had to do the thing where I tell my phone, yes, I know my blood sugar is high. Diabetic life. All right. We'll do the thing I was doing the other night, which is the Sudrian identity stuff. We'll do the Sudrian identity things. Many of you do not know what the Sudrian identity is, and that is okay. I say many of you as if there's no one here. No one at all. Maybe I should try pulling it up on the... Okay, yeah, that's just counting me watching. And now alrighty. A little bit of a test here. Okay, so I don't need the YouTube chat box because StreamYard has the chat box for me. That is right. Okay, so I will just get rid of that. That's what I will do. Do. Share entire screen. Let's see. That's a thing that can be done. That's a bit neat. So yeah, here's a thing I was working on character-wise. For my latest mega document, the mega documents, which I am so fond of. Here, let's see. I want to kind of see what, okay. Yeah, everything seems to be matching up correctly. So, actually, we'll put that in a different tab. Different window, I mean. Ensure that it is all running according to plan. According to plan. You're here. Should not move the camera around like that. Makes things confusing. Looks like. Ooh. Let's see. Can you see my face? No, you cannot. Why can't you see my face? There I am. I'm back. Alrighty then. So, this is what is happening today. Let me watch my own stream so I make sure. Okay, yep, that works all functionally and stuff. Though what? Let's see. Is it possible for me to? Nope. Okay. So this is what I've been doing. As I've kind of been going through the Railway series books, and eventually the TV show and all that good stuff, and kind of gathering up all the characters that show up and are mentioned, and gathering them all in one nice list that I can reference, organized by introduction. But I'm actually going to modify this because I want to have come on. Why is it not? Oh, I'm having data issues, that's why. Or connection issues. Lovely. Absolutely lovely. So that's not working. That's great. So maybe we won't do that. Maybe. Maybe we'll just have to wait for Google Sheets to start functioning again. Let's see, maybe if I reopen it, close it and reopen it. There we go. Okay. Now that we got that little... Hello, Sodor Train 1225. Hello, Dustin. How's life been treating you? Life has been treating me all right. Good in many ways, not good in some ways. And then there's the in-betweens and all that good stuff. So, life's been life, which is, kind of how you expect it to go. I got a roommate living in this new apartment. It's the basement of the house I grew up in. From birth to 13 years old. And then we moved, but we kept this place and started renting it. But now we're split renting it. So I live here in the basement with a roommate. And then we have my family rents out the upstairs to a separate family. So my roommate is not currently here. He has left on a little trip. Hence why I am streaming tonight, because Monday is one of my 2 days off. And I have the place all to myself, and I'm a little bit bored. So we're streaming, and we'll see if it becomes a regular thing. I kind of have to clear that with my roommate. I don't think he'd be against it, but, you want to kind of check on those things before you just assume and do things. So, basement apartments, the best kind of apartment, in my opinion. Yes, especially when it's the basement that you recognize from your childhood. And I have set up many a wooden railway layout in this basement, before I left and then came back. I actually have a shelf with all my Thomas Wooden Railway right to the right of me. And then on kind of the other side of it's a very open, one room area, but it's 3 rooms in one, or 4, or 2, depending on how you count it. Right now, I'm kind of up against the one back wall, and this is going to be the workbench area. Kitchen's right over, I'm looking right at the kitchen. But over in that direction, here, I'll center myself. Over in that direction, I have a set table, which I've never had before. That was mostly the work of my roommate, but I helped. And a train shelf. Again, me and my roommate put that together. So yes, living with a fellow Thomas fan. It's pretty cool. So yeah, that's worked out pretty well. We're not going to do a house tour this stream. Again, it's a thing where I want to clear it with the roommate. Want to make sure he's okay with the space being showed off to the internet. So we'll do that eventually, probably, maybe, but not yet. Not yet. And to be honest, there's a few things that I want to have in order before I show my basement dwelling off to the world. Few things that need tidied up, few more shelves that need to be implemented for other non-Thomas related items. Up until my roommate moved in not long ago, Transformers had been strewn across the entire apartment, basically. So now the apartment is cleanish, which it's been a while since it's been cleanish. And that's a good thing. Not that it's been a while since it's been cleanish. That is cleanish. The fact that it's cleanish now is the good thing. So, I don't have much planned for this stream. My basic idea here, I'll clear myself from my phone end of watching the stream on my phone. So, there's some ideas. Me just kind of working on my lore stuff for what I'm not for my headcanon-y shit, and potential story stuff. It's kind of a weird jumble of things right now. I'm also thinking, and this might require the view count to start raising, is having you, the viewers, throw some ideas towards me, and then I kind of explain my headcanons about them. Or come up with my headcanons for them if I don't have headcanons for them. Yeah. Because I'm trying to get back into working on Thomas-related stuff. Because I just haven't. I've just been kind of dorking around. Headcanons and AUs are fun. At this point, I work almost purely in the realm of headcanon. What is canon is... Yeah. I don't... Official canon is boring. I like using official canon as a guide. And I probably stick to it more than some who take that stance. But still. So I think no matter what, there's going to be a lot of headcanon discussion in the stream, since it's like the easiest thing to do. It's just kind of the okay, well, am I going to shoot it out to you guys and you give me random kind of ideas to kind of jump off of? Or do I just go through my very methodical, all right, I'm just putting things in my documents, which I think is going to be a bit boring. So I'm thinking, we shoot it out to the viewer. Viewers, currently viewer, and we go from there. So yeah. Any suggestions that you want me to kind of either explain my headcanon or come up with a headcanon, depending on how far removed it is from things that I've been working on. I think I have a headcanon for just about everything. I just don't think any of it actually fits together yet. That's kind of the main thing. There's probably a lot of Bwubba and All Engines Go stuff that I don't have headcanons for. Because there's fodder for them. I'm currently making an Americanized Sodor AU at the moment. I got the idea when I was a kid. I used to wonder why none of the big diesels I would see had buffers. I was always thrown off by the difference between real engines and Sodor engines because I did not expect there to be a major difference. I can't explain what the disconnect was in my head. Like, I don't remember ever thinking, why doesn't Strasbourg, like number 90, have buffers? That thought probably crossed my head, but like, I don't have like a deep-seated memory of it. I always recognized that Thomas was smaller than the engines that I saw in real life. That's something I always recognized. And now that I know why that is, I'm very impressed with younger me. Very impressed. Let's see. Before things get started, I'm going to go get fluids. Yeah, we now have fluids. The official drink, the TWRC. So I decided to make this. Yeah, it is weird how I kind of Americanized Sodor in my mind. That was kind of just like, oh yeah, Sodor's like an American island. It's like in the middle of like the ocean or something. Excuse me while I do the thing where I take insulin so I don't die because I decided to drink one of the most sugary substances alive. Diabetes is fun. It's very fun. I love it. I love being a type 1 diabetic. All right. Headcanon-y things. Edward, for example, is a... So, cool. Cool. Yeah. I mean, I don't have too many ideas for Edward that like deviate from the source material. It's I have to like kind of figure out when his rebuild dates are, like when he becomes what shapes, when he gets what tenders. One could argue that he is like basically box standard K2 up until his rebuild after Old Iron. I don't think so though, because that would mean that the illustrators predicted what Edward's rebuild would look like. So I'm thinking he probably got a rebuild before the 40s at some point where he became extremely less K2 like, but like still clearly an E2. Like he gets like the new cab and the Fowler tender. I think Old Iron though, I think that's where he basically gets his facelift. So so yeah, I think Edward gets like kind of the kind of the minor rebuild, probably in like 20s or 30s, and then and then the like facelift rebuild where like the boiler is like no longer sits so low, and he is almost he looks like a more modern 440 in the 50s after Old Iron. Possibly, possibly. I kind of like the idea of Edward just looking like a K2 and clearly being old. Um, because, once you rebuild him to look like a D16, it kind of loses kind of the effect that he is the oldest engine on the island. Um, that and it just confuses kind of what he is, which I don't like. Um, so, though, if we're going to speak about American engines, I've been thinking about American engines lately because there are quite a few of them on good old Sodor. Um, so, kind of going through the list, I don't have anything kind of solid for Rosie, but she's like only just an American engine. Like, she is an American engine, but like their class was very prolific over on British railways, um, as far as American engines are concerned. Like, it's not a Hank situation where it's like, what the fuck is this doing on Sodor? It's very much a, oh, yeah, yeah, it makes sense that she would end up on Sodor. Now, Hank, on the other hand, Hank is frustrating because, and yet she speaks with a British accent, which bugs me for some reason. Well, she has probably spent a significant amount of time in England. Like, a lot of members of that class came over during the Second World War. So it is possible that she came over during the Second World War, stayed in England for a while, and then eventually came to Sodor. Um, so something along those lines. Or she just came straight from England to Sodor, in which case maybe she doesn't have. And I don't know, accents with the engines are weird because, like, they're not people, they're machines that we have projected personalities onto. So, I kind of just go with whatever accent feels right for the personality, because that's what we would do for any other vehicle that doesn't talk. Um, if you come up with a voice for your car, you're not really thinking about where that car was built and what all that. You come up with a voice that fits your car, um, which is kind of how I work with the And we're back. That, I was not expecting that. It's done that a few times since it's done that a select few times since I set it up here. But I didn't think it would be a problem. But apparently, it was. We'll see if it happens again. Um, but not a problem anymore, which is good. It's a good thing. It's a very good thing. Um, Here, I'm going to do a thing. Pull up something that might be slightly more interesting than just my face. To kind of pull in those views. Yeah, we're gonna be sly like that. Gonna try and work the algorithm. I think that's what we'll do then. But meanwhile, we were talking about Rosie. Um, yes, I see her as like Lexi, who masters all of these different accents, yet used them during the war to throw off the enemy. Having red wheels, she'd look like a German tank engine. That is interesting. I'd never be able to bring myself to do that due to how the rules of my universe work. But the whole, oh, they're not really alive, but actually they are. It's just you people in the real world who are being dumb about it. Um, that kind of idea that like, oh, there's more, there's magic to these things that we see in the real world, and we kind of personify that magic as they're alive, but they're not really, but they kind of are. Very complicated relationship between me and inanimate objects. um, but that kind of rule as to how the Sodor universe works would never allow me to actively let the engines use their voices to do something that is incredibly meaningful to the plot. To an extent, it's kind of weird. Um, and I have given up on pulling up the map thing at this point. Fuck it. Also, yeah, like engines can communicate, meaningful things to each other, and like it's a really weird relationship that I have with the actual faces on the trains. Um, but yeah, so the point being, that's a very neat idea. Occasionally, I can hear my Bachman Elcor. Bachman Alco. Alco. I know it's Alco. I'm such a bad rail fan. I can hear my Bachman Alco S4 diesel snoring at night, and it drives me mad. That guy's engine block needs replacing or something. Yeah, exactly. Like, it's kind of how Audrey kind of described hearing the engines going up Box Hill as a kid. Um, that is the foundation for how I see the island of Sodor. Um, so yeah, I could see a situation where my mind would create a justification for like, oh, the engines are doing impressions and it's throwing enemy enemy people off. Um, I can see that, but I'd have to really think about like, okay, what mechanically is happening that makes this situation possible. So yeah. But yeah. So Rosie, yeah, I barely count her as an American engine because yes, she was built in America, but her class was very much built with English rails in mind. Not to mention, as he is DC powered, his headlight is always shining in my face. Then I have to tell him, shut up or I'll turn off your power for a month. Then he seems to get the message. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. So let's see. What's another character we can discuss here? Or a location. Or anything, really. You know, I was perusing around on the wiki, and I just found out that canonically in All Engines Go, the Sir Topham Hatt of All Engines Go, Bertram Topham Hatt, is the son of Stephen Hatt. So, well, at least he's the fourth Fat Controller. Well, I guess not Fat Controller because they don't use that term in All Engines Go because it's fancy for me. But like, he is the fourth, and you know they reference like the first Topham Hatt, which seems to be, which seems to imply that yeah, he's the son of Stephen Topham Hatt. If you take any bit of lore seriously from the previous iterations of Thomas to put in the current iteration, which I wouldn't be really fussed to do, but my kind of attitudes have always been, it's like, well, you know, if it's not contradicted, then it's probably true. So Richard Hatt is apparently canon in All Engines Go. Anyway, actually, no, he's been retconned out of existence because it's Bertram Topham Hatt. That's what they call him. That's official AEG canon. That's Bertram Topham Hatt. So Richard has been erased from existence, apparently, which I don't like. I've wanted to work in Bertram Topham Hatt, but like I didn't want to erase Richard or Stephen, or like Emily Helen Hatt, depending on how I swing a post Stephen NWR. You know, go the Wild Nor'Wester route. But yeah, like the problem is that it would fitting him in with anything other than make Bertram Topham Hatt the original Topham Hatt, which means Topham isn't Topham, Topham is Bertram, and then Topham the first, Topham is this weird middle name. Shame Derek Hatt isn't canon either. Those are two other hats, Derek Hatt and Lohem Hatt, that I'd like to fit into the Hatt family, but I don't know where. Actually, okay. So we'll talk about my headcanon for the Hatt family. Is that, hey, Wooden Railway Edward, nice seeing you. We're talking headcanons. You throw me a topic, I discuss my headcanon on it, or make up a headcanon on the spot if I haven't really talked about it or not. And then, of course, there are the 50 million squirrels in between because I can't keep a straight thought going. But yeah, so what I might do for Derek Hat, Sodor Train 1225, is that, Albert Rugby, I'll put a pin in that one. Is now I don't think Derek Hat would ever be a Sir Topham Hatt, but I think Derek Hat is the original Sir Topham Hatt's father. And I think Sir Topham Hatt the First is Sir Topham Bertram Hatt, not Sir Bertram Topham Hatt. Ah, yes, Sir Squirrel Hat, the greatest hat of all time. That is the greatest hat of all time. But yeah, so I think my headcanon for Sir Topham Hatt the First's family life, grandfather Hat from that one Thomas, and is probably the original. That's a weird one. I need to look more into that. Because the original Sir Topham Hatt comes to Sodor in the late 1800s, early 1900s, helps do drainage stuff, possibly builds the coffee pots, gets swiped up in the whole, hey, there's a war and we need you to build a whole ass railway, ends up becoming controller of said railway, stumbles into creating a multi-generational lineage, which will go down in history, and seems to have just won no part in doing something like that. Like, he's just trying to do his job. And then, is good at it, makes a really good railway company. But then his son Charles comes along and is like, this railway is all about preservation. We're preserving all the steam engines. And then runs with it. So yeah, that's a lot of my headcanon for the first Topham Hatt. He was never really a railway man. He kind of got swept up into the whole railway thing because it was a really good place to work. Considering that Stepney was mentioned as new in that book in a flashback, maybe that part takes place on the mainland. It's possible. My idea is that the first Topham Hatt comes from very humble beginnings, like very blue collar. I kind of imagine he's, because we never get any references to like the Hatt family on the mainland before Sir Topham Hatt comes to Sodor. I think he did not have a good family life. I think he has problems with his family, and then he moved to Sodor and distanced himself from him, and then gained a whole lot of respect on Sodor that he was not expecting. So that's kind of my thing for the first Fat controller. But Wooden Railway Edward, you mentioned Albert Regaby. I don't really have anything for Albert Regaby. because I mean, my canon for Albert Regaby is essentially just what's in the canon. Um, he was a high standing person in Sodor, um, became the chairman of the Northwestern Railway, and helped fight off the LMS, and was a part of the creation of the LMS agreement in 1925. And kind of after that, just kind of faded into the background as the chairman of the NWR. I imagine he was very much um, a mentor to the first Sir Topham Hatt. Probably very much encouraged him to kind of stick with the railway. Probably knew some things about Topham that he didn't even really kind of recognize in himself. Kind of pulled out the kind of the fat controller that we all know and love. Contrasting with my version of the Hatt family, which had a wealth estate in the Swindon area, where Bertram got a respectable job at the GWR Works there. Then his father passed away and he moved. That's a thing too. I kind of always kind of got the impression that he kind of came from nothing and worked his way up. To Sodor to take his mind off that, he quit his job at Swindon, and A.W. Dry hired him, acting as a second father to him. I did not think about Mr. Dry. Or I feel like at one point it was mentioned in one of the lectures that A.W. Dry might be a woman. I want to make sure I'm not getting that wrong. Because, or maybe I'm mixed. It's also possible that I'm mixing that up with something else. I'm not sure. And my computer won't listen to me because it hates me. It hates me and wants to kill me. Here we go. A.W. Dry and Company. Here, we'll come back to check on the... Nope, nothing more in the chat. Oh, nope. No mentions of the I might be confusing that with some fan work at some point. That's a very possible possibility. So yeah, I never thought about Mr. Dry. I definitely think Albert Regaby is a larger player in Hatt's kind of rise to be the fat director and then controller. I think that's... I think he's kind of the key player in his life there. But yeah, Dry was probably very significant in his life at one point. I'm not even going to try and pronounce that first name that you came up for Dry, but Willard. I didn't think of that for a middle name. In my head canon was his full name. Founded the shipyard at Tidmouth in the early 1800s. I do think that A.W. Dry and Company replaces Vickers Shipbuilders in the Sodor timeline. I don't think Vickers I think it does, but my headcanon is basically that A.W. Dry basically replaced that. And all of the ships that were built in Barrow were actually built in Tidmouth. That's one of my headcanons, is that there's a big shipbuilding facility there in Tidmouth. It's owned by Audry, which is kind of how the company rebrands later on in life. After Dry has kind of left the picture. So we need another prompt. I only see one viewer. I guess Wooden Railway Edward had to bounce off. Or Sodor Train, but given how recently you've commented, I doubt that. But yeah, I need more ideas to bounce off of. I think at one point you mentioned a snubbed nose lawyer. Snubbed nose lorry. Madge is interesting. Very interesting indeed. I think my version of Madge is basically what Master of the Lemons and Hero the Japanese Train presented in their character gallery episode, and that she kind of comes around the Skarloey Railway during the lean years and helps them out. But yeah, I haven't thought too much about Madge, so I don't fully know. But yeah, I could totally see her kind of being probably owned by the Skarloey Railway at this point in time. Might not have been originally, but in the early days, I think so. Or nowadays, I think so. In the early days, not. It was probably owned by another company. But yeah, Madge is interesting. She's just a neat looking character. Her Wooden Railway model is also quite neat. I like it. It's a lot of fun. It's very cool. Oh, my phone is beeping at me again because my blood sugar. Let me see. Yeah, all looks good on my end. Ideas are good. Let's see. Let me take a look at the wiki for inspiration. Oh, let's go to businesses. There are many businesses listed on the wiki. Maybe one of those will give me inspiration. Well, I don't have anything there, but so a standard headcanon I have for our favorite devious diesel is that there's more than one devious diesel. Yeah, I think there are several diesels. This is basically because I don't like the idea that the the guy in Pop Goes the Diesel eventually becomes the guy in Springtime for Diesel. Like, those two personalities feel too different. I feel like there is kind of, the devious diesel, the oh sorry Duck, I did not mean to offend, except actually I did, because I think you are inferior to me in every way. And this is the diesel who hates Duck. And then there's Diesel. And he's just kind of an asshole. He generally feels that because he's a diesel, that he is better than the steam engines. But generally, he's just kind of a grumpy trickster. So yeah, I think there are multiple diesels. There are multiple diesels in my headcanon. Oh, what do you know? There are many Gronks. But yeah, like those two versions of the character are different. And honestly, I think I'd even separate kind of hit era Diesel from CGI Diesel. I think I'd even go that far. Where we have three very distinct versions of the character. Because things are better when they're in threes. Something in twos, that's boring. Get that out of here. Give it to me in threes. Now we're talking. Now we are talking. That and a nice little, like, there are three Jokers kind of little reference. Because Diesel and the Joker are obviously the same guy. Obviously. There's no difference. And we are down to 0. Fun. Checking on the Twitter. Checking the Twitter for the tweets. All right. we'll see how this goes. We might only go on for another 30 minutes to an hour. Oh, got a viewer back. Hey, how you doing? Are you doing good? Nope, and we lost him. Back down to zilch. Yeah, hopefully as I do these a bit more regularly, these will become a bit more dynamic as I will have kind of gotten back into the groove of it, and just the algorithm will actually help me. Right now, I'm dead in the algorithm's eyes. This thing isn't getting to no one. If you have found this stream, you are one of the rare few. So, yeah. So as we keep going and make this a regular thing, things will get a bit more enticing and exciting. But yeah, I kind of just wanted to kind of get back into the swing of this, because I do kind of miss it. I miss the after class streams. The after class streams were fun. So hopefully I can do something similar to the after class streams. Kind of recapture that funness. Because those were a good time. Everything before the after class streams was not fun because it was class. But I don't do college no more because I realized I don't need it. It's a scam. So I don't go to college no more. So we can't have more after class streams because what's it going to be after? But yeah. So let's see. I should set down. I should figure out a end time now, and then work from there. It's either going to be 8:30 or 9 o'clock. Which one, I'm not sure, but it's going to be one of those two times. We either have 15 minutes or 45. I don't know. No, 30. 30 minutes. Learn to... No, 45. You did that right the first time. Yeah. I can't math. I'm good at math, but I can't math. It's a thing. So yeah. Headcanon things. Let's talk about headcanon things. Or maybe just talk about what's going to go on with this channel, hopefully, maybe. Let's do that. I'm going to go into... So, I have mentioned earlier Sudrian identity. Sudrian identity is kind of a project to kind of make basically my version of the Sodor Encyclopedia. I'm not entirely sure how far this project will go because it's kind of one of those things that will kind of go on forever, so long as people keep on adding things to the Sodor mythos. Um, which is a very grand way of saying so long as Thomas fiction continues to exist in any capacity, official or not. Um, but the idea is to make a kind of catalog of Sodor related information, kind of from the viewpoint of a like amateur historian chronicling kind of the history of Sodor. Um, I know this; it will not be attached to fandom because, and when I say fandom, I mean the website, not the concept, because that website is absolutely horrible, and I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. So yeah, so I'm creating my own encyclopedia to one, keep track of my own fucking headcanons, and two, because the actual canon info is so goddamn hard to get to. In my short-lived TWR series, I had planned to own her, make some and make some extra cash. I'd run her to Mr. Hugh for maintaining use. I had also planned that Nassie would use her to learn how to drive. Cool, cool. I'm assuming that's in reply to the Madge stuff. Cool, 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 cool. Very cool. But yeah, so the Sudrian identity is kind of my one big project, my one big, long, ongoing, never-ending project. Um, there's also all the modeling for Thomas stuff generally, um, modeling in HO/00, which I now do, and then also TWR customs, which is another thing that I have done a lot of. Those aren't really big projects, though. That's just having model stuff of the things that I like. Um, like, that's not a project. That's just me doing things. My other project is a Transformer related one. I'm currently writing a script. Kind of. There isn't really any script to it yet. It's kind of got a loose plot outline going. I'm working on fleshing things out, but I'm planning a Transformers movie. Because the way that I look at Thomas makes it really infuriating to try and plan out stories for it. The way I work with Transformers, though, is a lot more fluid. Like, I don't have a set way that my Transformers universe works. That there's more of a multiverse going on there. So, if I have two conflicting ideas, I can do both of them. But yeah, I am planning out a potential Transformers movie. We'll see if it actually becomes a movie or if it gets stuck in the pre-production phase, which it most definitely will. But I figure while I'm here chatting away, might as well mention it. I'm not this whole big secret keeper sort of guy, so I'll just say it. I'm working on it. And I got some pretty cool thoughts in mind for it. Again, we'll see how far it gets. Same with this, like, possibly streaming on the regular thing. We'll see how far it gets. Subtree identity. We'll see how far it gets. Modeling in any form. We'll see how far it gets. that's kind of where my life is. So we'll see how far that gets. And, that's really the only thing you can do. It's just kind of wait and see. Maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't. But, if I keep kind of worrying about making sure things happen, nothing will ever happen, and I'll just be depressed all the time. And that's no way to live life. So, yeah, those are my two projects. Sudrian Identity and the Transformers. No like title has been really set in stone upon for that. It's too early. I haven't kind of worked out enough of the plot to figure out a meaningful title. I have some working titles, but like they're very generic. But most of you guys are gonna be here for Thomas content anyway. So I feel like Sudrian Identity is the more exciting thing there. Even if there is going to be a lot of headcanon-y stuff in there, I kind of have a cool way of presenting all that information that I think will kind of be an exciting read. So, yeah. Because, yeah, I kind of do want to kind of present it as a amateur historian kind of presenting the history of Sodor, which I think is a cool concept. I keep on creating a second chin there. I keep on leaning back, and then it's like, oh, no, I have two chins. So I'm going to not do that anymore. Anyway, yeah, I think we're only going to go till 8:30. So I'm in Eastern Standard Time, by the way. In case anyone was wondering, in case anyone isn't in Eastern Standard Time. So, yeah, I think in about 8 minutes we'll be wrapping this up and shutting it down. Let's see. Any last words? I don't think I have anything to add. But yeah, it was cool doing this again. Not very exciting, very quiet. A few things were said, but nothing too extraordinary. But hey, it's hopefully getting the wheels turning so that we can have more exciting streams in the coming weeks at a regular basis. So yeah, we'll see how that all goes. Yeah, we don't seem to be getting too much engagement right now. So I think I'm going to. I said 8:30, and I'm OCD about that sort of thing, but I think I shall just say, fuck it. Shut her down now. I'll see y'all next time. Thank you to the few of you that tuned in. Have a good one.